My hands shook as I tore through every drawer in my bedroom at 6 o'clock that Tuesday morning, 3 days before the interview that would change my entire life. The Global Environmental Leadership Scholarship to study renewable energy in Copenhagen had been my dream for 2 years. My passport, which I always kept locked in my desk drawer, was gone. As I spotted Amanda's silver earring glinting on my carpet, the devastating truth hit me like ice water. My own sister had stolen the one document I needed most, sabotaging my chance to represent America at the International Youth Climate Summit and destroying my biggest dream. I grabbed my keys and raced across the Bay Bridge to Oakland, my mind spinning with disbelief. Amanda lived in a trendy loft apartment that always puzzled me since her marketing coordinator salary shouldn't have covered such luxury. I pounded on her door at 6:30 in the morning, not caring about waking the neighbors. When she answered, perfectly dressed despite the early hour, her smug expression confirmed my worst fears. Her blonde hair was styled in an expensive cut, and she wore a designer blazer I recognized from a boutique that cost more than my monthly food budget. "Where is it, Amanda?" I demanded, pushing past her into the apartment. She closed the door slowly, her blue eyes cold and calculating. "Where's what, Sheila?" "My passport. I know you took it. Your earring was in my room." Amanda walked to her marble kitchen counter and poured herself coffee from an expensive machine. "Oh, that old thing? I might have misplaced it somewhere." The casual cruelty in her voice made my stomach drop. "Misplaced it?" "Amanda, my scholarship interview is in 3 days. This is my future we're talking about." She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your future? You mean the future you think you deserve more than anyone else? What are you talking about?" Amanda set down her mug and faced me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I submitted my own application for that scholarship, Sheila, using your research on biodegradable solar panel components. You know, the work you've been so secretive about?" The room tilted around me. "You what?" "I copied everything from your laptop months ago. Your password is pathetically obvious, by the way. Mom's maiden name plus your birth year? Really?" She walked to her living room, gesturing for me to follow. "Your little breakthrough about bio-based photovoltaic materials made for quite an impressive application essay." I stared at her expensive furniture, the designer artwork, the latest model laptop sitting open on her glass desk. "You stole my research. I improved it, added some marketing perspective, made it more practical for real-world applications. The scholarship committee loved my innovative approach to sustainable technology commercialization." My legs felt weak. "Amanda, that work represents 2 years of my life. Those are my ideas, my experiments, my discoveries. And now they're mine too." She examined her perfectly manicured nails. "You always got everything handed to you, Sheila. Perfect grades, teachers who loved you, mom and dad bragging about their brilliant daughter. Meanwhile, I worked just as hard and got ignored." "That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time they hung one of my achievements on the refrigerator? When did they ever call their friends to brag about something I accomplished?" Her voice turned bitter. "You got the brains, I got the leftovers. Well, not this time." I noticed her laptop screen showing multiple email threads with the scholarship committee. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since you first mentioned the opportunity last year. I've been monitoring your emails, watching your research progress, waiting for the perfect moment." She closed the laptop. "Did you really think I'd let you disappear to Europe while I stayed stuck in California? Give me my passport back, Amanda. This is insane." "Sorry, but I seem to have lost it. These things happen." She shrugged. "Maybe you could apply for an emergency replacement, but that takes weeks, doesn't it? Such a shame you waited until the last minute to check on it." I felt tears threatening but forced them back. "Why would you do this to your own sister?" "Because you never treated me like a sister. You treated me like competition. Always studying, always achieving, always making the rest of us look ordinary." Her expression hardened. "Mom told me about your secret environmental activism work. How you spend weekends cleaning beaches and testing water samples, playing in the dirt while I'm building actual professional relationships." The dismissal in her tone stung. My weekend conservation work meant everything to me, but she saw it as childish games. "Besides," Amanda continued, walking to her door, "the scholarship committee was impressed by my practical business background. They said my application showed real-world experience that yours lacked. Turns out academic theories aren't enough anymore." She opened the door. "I think you should leave now. I have an important call with Copenhagen at 9. I stood frozen, unable to process the magnitude of her betrayal. My own sister had systematically destroyed my future and felt proud of it. "If you keep harassing me about this imaginary passport, I'll call building security," she added. "They take theft allegations very seriously here." I walked to the door on unsteady legs. "Mom and Dad don't know about this, do they?" Amanda's smile widened. "Oh, Sheila, you have no idea what you're walking into." The door closed behind me with a soft click that sounded like the end of everything I'd worked for. I drove to Walnut Creek in a daze, rehearsing how I'd explain Amanda's theft to my parents. They'd be horrified, I told myself. They'd force her to return my passport and expose her lies to the scholarship committee. David and Linda Morrison had raised us to value honesty above everything else. Their modest ranch house sat on a quiet street, lined with mature oak trees. Dad's construction truck was parked in the driveway next to Mom's aging Honda, both vehicles showing the wear of decades of hard work. I used my key and called out as I entered. "Mom? Dad? I need to talk to you about Amanda." They were sitting at the kitchen table with coffee and newspapers, looking unsurprised by my early morning visit. Mom wore her usual cardigan and comfortable jeans, while Dad was dressed in his retired but still practical flannel shirt and work pants. "We figured you'd be stopping by," Mom said calmly, not looking up from her paper. I sat across from them, my heart hammering. She stole my passport. She's been copying my research and lying to the scholarship committee. We have to stop her before she ruins everything. Dad folded his newspaper and set it aside. His weathered hands and graying hair reminded me of all the years he'd worked construction to support our family. "We know about Amanda's application, honey." Relief flooded through me. "Good, then you can help me fix this." "If we call today—" "We're not calling anyone," Mom interrupted. Her usually warm brown eyes looked tired. "We think this might be good for Amanda." The words didn't make sense. Good for Amanda? She committed fraud. She showed initiative, Dad said. That girl has been struggling to find her place while you collected one achievement after another. Maybe it's time she got a real opportunity. I stared at them, wondering if I'd misheard. A real opportunity? Based on stolen work? Mom reached across the table and patted my hand like I was a confused child. "Sheila, you've had more chances than most kids could dream of. Full academic scholarships, research opportunities, professors who mentor you personally. Amanda has worked just as hard in her own way. By stealing from me? By recognizing her strengths and using them creatively," Dad said. "That takes courage." I pulled my hand away from Mom's. "This isn't about courage." She broke into my computer, copied my research, and stole my identity documents. "Amanda didn't break in anywhere," Mom said firmly. "She used information that was available in a shared family environment. And as for your passport, you should have been more careful with important documents." The casual victim blaming felt like a slap. "Are you serious right now?" Dad leaned forward, his expression stern. "What we're serious about is fairness. You've been the favorite around here for too long, and it's hurt Amanda more than you realize." "Favorite?" "I worked for everything I achieved. And Amanda worked too, just in different ways," Mom said. "She's built relationships, developed practical skills, learned how to navigate the real world. Those things matter just as much as laboratory experiments." I looked around the kitchen, noticing for the first time how few of my academic awards were displayed. My certificates from environmental science competitions were tucked behind Amanda's cheerleading trophies from high school. My published research papers weren't framed, but Amanda's marketing portfolio sat prominently on the counter. "You're choosing her over me," I said quietly. "We're choosing balance over favoritism," Dad replied. "You'll find other opportunities, Sheila. You always do. But Amanda needs this chance to prove herself. On work she stole from me." Mom sighed. "You sound selfish when you talk like that. I thought we raised you to care about family." The accusation of selfishness for wanting credit for my own work was devastating. I do care about family. That's why Amanda's betrayal hurts so much. "The only betrayal here is you trying to sabotage your sister's success," Dad said. "We won't help you do that." I stood up, my chair scraping against the linoleum floor. "So you won't help me get my passport back? You won't contact the scholarship committee about the fraud?" "There's no fraud," Mom said. "There's just a young woman making the most of her opportunities. Some opportunities just aren't meant for everyone, honey," she added. "Maybe this scholarship wasn't meant for you." The words hit like physical blows. My own parents were gaslighting me, rewriting history to make Amanda's theft seem justified. "I can't believe you're saying this," I whispered. "We're saying what needed to be said years ago," Dad replied. "You've had enough advantages. Let Amanda have her turn." I walked toward the door, my vision blurring with tears. "When this all comes out, when everyone sees what she really did, don't expect me to pretend this conversation didn't happen." "Nothing's going to come out," Mom called after me. "Amanda's earned this opportunity, and we're proud of her for taking it." I left without another word, feeling like I'd lost not just my passport and my scholarship, but my entire family. As I drove away, I noticed they hadn't even asked how I was doing or offered any comfort for my loss. Their loyalty to Amanda was complete and unconditional, while their support for me came with conditions I'd apparently failed to meet. My phone rang as I pulled into a parking lot to collect myself. The caller ID showed Dr. Margaret Hayes, my faculty mentor at UC Berkeley. "Sheila, we need to talk immediately," Dr. Hayes said, without preamble. "Can you come to my office?" 20 minutes later, I sat across from the woman who'd guided my environmental research for 3 years. Professor Hayes was in her 50s, with silver hair pulled back in a practical bun and sharp green eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Her office walls displayed decades of environmental advocacy, work, and scientific achievements. "I received some disturbing information about your scholarship application," she began, opening a folder on her desk. "There are serious discrepancies that require immediate attention." "What kind of discrepancies?" She turned her computer screen toward me. "The scholarship committee contacted me yesterday about inconsistencies in Amanda Morrison's application. They wanted to verify some research claims that seemed remarkably similar to work you published in the Journal of Sustainable Engineering last year." My heart raced. "Amanda submitted an application?" "Indeed. But that's not the most troubling part." Dr. Hayes pulled out printed emails. "I did some investigation after their call. It appears your sister has been impersonating you in various academic and professional contexts for quite some time." She showed me screenshots from environmental forums where someone using my name had posted discussions based on my private research notes. LinkedIn messages sent from an account with my name but Amanda's photo. Conference registration forms filled out with my credentials but Amanda's contact information. "This is impossible," I breathed. "I'm afraid it gets worse." Dr. Hayes opened another file. "Do you remember the internship rejection you received from Green Solutions Incorporated last summer?" "Of course. They said my application didn't meet their requirements." "They never sent you a rejection letter, Sheila. They sent you an acceptance email on June 15th. Someone using your email account declined the position 3 days later." She showed me the email chain. My supposed response thanked Green Solutions for the opportunity but declined due to other commitments and family obligations. The writing style was professional but subtly different from my usual tone. "I never saw any acceptance email," I said numbly. "Because someone was monitoring your email account and intercepting important messages." Dr. Hayes pulled up more evidence. "I found traces of unauthorized access spanning back 18 months. Your sister has been systematically sabotaging your opportunities while building her own profile using your work." The scope of the betrayal was staggering. "How is that even possible?" "Your password was compromised, likely through direct observation or social engineering. Once she had access, she could monitor incoming opportunities, decline them on your behalf, and use the research and contacts for her own advancement." Dr. Hayes turned to another screen, showing bank records. "There's more. Last spring, you submitted a biodegradable packaging design to the Berkeley Innovation Challenge, correct?" "Yes, but it was rejected." "It wasn't rejected. It won 3rd place and a $5,000 prize. The money was deposited into an account with your name but different banking information." I felt sick. "Amanda has been stealing my prize money?" "It appears so. The packaging design you developed was also sold to EconoWrap Solutions for additional compensation. Your sister has been monetizing your innovations while you struggled financially." The betrayal went deeper than I'd imagined. Not only had Amanda stolen my current opportunity, she'd been systematically destroying my past achievements and profiting from my work. "There's something else," Dr. Hayes said gently. "Your parents contacted me 3 months ago asking about Amanda's potential in environmental science. They wanted to know if she had the background to succeed in graduate programs." My blood chilled. "They've been planning this for months." "It seems that way. They asked specifically about your research methods and whether someone with a marketing background could adapt them for practical applications." Dr. Hayes closed the folders. I'm sorry, Sheila. I should have realized something was wrong earlier. I slumped in my chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the conspiracy. My family hadn't just betrayed me impulsively. They'd orchestrated a deliberate campaign to transfer my achievements to Amanda. What can we do about it? Dr. Hayes hesitated. Legally, this constitutes identity theft and fraud. We could pursue criminal charges, but for the scholarship specifically, the damage may already be done. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop making trouble or things will get worse for you. She's monitoring my communications, I realized. We need to secure your digital accounts immediately, Dr. Hayes said, reaching for her phone. And then we need to decide how aggressively you want to fight this. I stared out her office window at the Berkeley campus where I'd worked so hard for 3 years. Students hurried between classes, pursuing their dreams with the assumption that merit and effort would be rewarded. I'd believed the same thing until this morning. I want to fight, I said quietly. But first, I need to handle the immediate crisis. The scholarship interview is in 3 days, and without my passport, I can't even attend. Dr. Hayes nodded grimly. Let's start by contacting the scholarship committee directly. If we can document the fraud quickly enough, there might still be hope. But even as she reached for her phone, I had the sinking feeling that Amanda and my parents had planned too carefully to be stopped by simple evidence of wrongdoing. Dr. Hayes dialed the scholarship committee while I tried to process the enormity of Amanda's deception. The hold music seemed to mock my desperation as we waited to speak with Jonathan Wright, the program coordinator in Washington, D.C. Mr. Wright, this is Professor Margaret Hayes from UC Berkeley, calling about Sheila Morrison's application for the Global Environmental Leadership Scholarship. I watched her face change as she listened to his response. I see, she said slowly. When exactly did you receive that call? She scribbled notes on her pad, her expression growing more concerned. And you're absolutely certain it was Sheila Morrison who called? After another pause, she said, Mr. Wright, I have reason to believe that call was fraudulent. The real Sheila Morrison is sitting in my office right now. I held my breath as she explained the situation, but Mr. Wright's responses seemed increasingly skeptical. I understand your position, Dr. Hayes finally said. But surely there must be some way to verify the authentic applicant's identity. When she hung up, her expression was grim. Amanda called the committee 2 days ago, perfectly imitating your voice. She formally withdrew your application, citing family circumstances that required you to remain in California. She what? The words came out as a whisper. She provided your social security number, date of birth, and specific details from your application essay that only the real applicant would know. The performance was convincing enough that Mr. Wright had no reason to doubt its authenticity. I felt the last of my hope crumbling. But you explained that it was fraud? I did. Unfortunately, the committee has dealt with similar situations before, where family members or competitors have made false claims to discredit successful applicants. They have strict policies against reinstating withdrawn applications, regardless of the circumstances. Dr. Hayes showed me her notes. According to Mr. Wright, your application was the most impressive they'd received in 5 years. Your research on biodegradable solar components combined with your environmental activism demonstrated exactly the kind of innovative thinking they want to support. The irony was crushing. I'd lost the opportunity of a lifetime to my own sister, who'd used my work to impress the committee before destroying my chances entirely. There's more bad news, Dr. Hayes continued. Amanda didn't just withdraw your application. She contacted the Copenhagen Climate Institute directly and provided them with information suggesting you'd been involved in academic misconduct. My stomach dropped. What kind of information? She claimed you'd plagiarized research from other Berkeley students and falsified data in your published papers. The allegations were specific enough to damage your reputation with the international environmental community. I stared at her in disbelief. She's destroying my entire career. It appears that way. She's also contacted several other environmental organizations where you've applied for internships or speaking opportunities. Your name is now associated with serious academic integrity concerns at institutions across Europe and North America. Dr. Hayes pulled up more emails on her computer. The Copenhagen Institute has blacklisted you from future programs pending investigation. 3 other organizations have withdrawn invitations for upcoming conferences. Your sister has systematically contaminated your professional network. The scope of Amanda's sabotage was breathtaking. She hadn't just stolen one opportunity. She'd poisoned every avenue for my future success. How could she possibly know about all these organizations? From monitoring your emails and research activities for over a year, Dr. Hayes replied. She's built a comprehensive map of your professional contacts and used that information to destroy your reputation proactively. I felt tears starting but forced them back. So there's nothing we can do? About the scholarship specifically? Mr. Wright made it clear that their decision is final. The committee cannot reverse a voluntary withdrawal, even with evidence of fraud. Dr. Hayes leaned forward sympathetically. But there may be other options we haven't considered yet. Like what? Amanda has sabotaged every environmental organization I've ever contacted. Who's going to take a chance on someone accused of academic misconduct? That's where you might be surprised, Dr. Hayes said cryptically. Not every opportunity goes through traditional channels. Her phone rang before she could elaborate. She glanced at the caller ID and raised an eyebrow. This is interesting. It's Dr. Elena Rodriguez from Green Future International. She answered the call. Elena, what perfect timing. I was just discussing alternative opportunities for exceptional students. I listened to her side of the conversation, trying to decode the meaning from her responses. Yes, she's here with me now, Dr. Hayes was saying. The project you mentioned? Actually, she's been remarkably secretive about her independent research. She looked at me with curiosity. Elena, I think you should speak with Sheila directly about this. Dr. Hayes handed me the phone with an expression that mixed confusion and intrigue. She wants to talk to you about something called a waste-to-energy project? I took the phone with trembling hands, having no idea what Dr. Elena Rodriguez could want with me. But as she began speaking, I realized my secret backup plan was about to change everything. Sheila, I'm calling about your algae-based waste processing system, Dr. Rodriguez said without preamble. Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to making important decisions quickly. We need to discuss your research immediately. I nearly dropped the phone. How do you know about that project? 3 different environmental organizations have been asking us about your work for the past 6 months. The preliminary data you submitted to the International Waste Management Consortium caught our attention, but we've been waiting for the right opportunity to approach you. My mind raced. I'd submitted only basic information about my garage experiments to that consortium, never expecting anyone to take notice. I'm not sure I understand. Your algae-to-energy conversion process is achieving efficiency rates that our best scientists thought were impossible. We've been quietly investigating your methodology, and we want to offer you something much better than a student scholarship. Dr. Hayes watched my face change as Dr. Rodriguez continued. Green Future International is prepared to sponsor your attendance at the Global Environmental Innovation Summit in Geneva, Switzerland, next month. This isn't a student program. It's a gathering of the world's top environmental innovators and policymakers. I gripped the phone tighter. I've never heard of that summit. Because it's invitation only for researchers whose work shows potential to transform entire industries. Your waste processing system qualifies. Dr. Rodriguez paused. We'd like you to present your findings as a keynote speaker. The offer seemed impossible. Dr. Rodriguez, I appreciate your interest, but my research is still in early stages. I've been working alone in my garage with equipment I built from salvaged materials, which makes your results even more impressive. Most labs with million-dollar budgets haven't achieved what you're accomplishing with recycled components and pure ingenuity. Dr. Hayes gestured for me to put the call on speaker. Dr. Rodriguez, this is Professor Hayes. Can you explain how you became aware of Sheila's work? Certainly. The International Waste Management Consortium flagged her initial data as anomalous. When we investigated, we found that her algae strains are processing organic waste at rates 300% above current industry standards. Dr. Rodriguez continued. We believe Sheila has discovered something revolutionary. The practical applications could address waste management crises in developing nations while generating clean energy at unprecedented efficiency levels. I thought about the countless hours I'd spent in my garage, experimenting with different algae combinations after every disappointment and rejection. What started as a way to process my own frustration had apparently become something much larger. The Geneva Summit includes representatives from the United Nations Environmental Program, major international corporations, and government officials from 50 countries, Dr. Rodriguez explained. Your presentation would be broadcast live to environmental science communities worldwide. Dr. Hayes looked stunned. What kind of support would you provide? Full sponsorship for travel and accommodation, plus a $100,000 research grant to formalize Sheila's work. We'd also provide laboratory facilities and technical support to scale her innovations. The contrast with my family's dismissal of my playing in the dirt was stark. While they saw my work as worthless hobby, international experts recognized its transformative potential. There's something else, Dr. Rodriguez added. We've received inquiries about your research from 3 different venture capital firms and 2 government agencies. The applications for your technology extend far beyond waste management. I found my voice. What kinds of applications? Space exploration, waste processing for Mars missions. Emergency disaster relief in areas without power infrastructure. Industrial waste remediation for mining operations. Your algae system could revolutionize how humanity handles waste across multiple environments. Dr. Hayes scribbled notes frantically. When would this summit take place? 3 weeks from today. We know it's short notice, but the timing aligns with several major policy announcements that would maximize the impact of Sheila's presentation. I thought about Amanda's theft and my parents' betrayal. While they'd been focused on destroying my traditional academic path, I'd been building something entirely new in secret. Dr. Rodriguez, can I ask how this opportunity remained confidential? Why didn't I know about your interest earlier? We prefer to approach promising researchers when they're ready for global attention. Too much premature exposure can compromise developing innovations. She paused. Also, we wanted to ensure you weren't seeking publicity or commercial opportunities ahead of scientific integrity. The irony wasn't lost on me. Amanda had stolen my academic credentials while remaining completely unaware of my most significant achievement. I need some time to consider this, I said carefully. Of course. But Sheila, you should know that your work represents exactly the kind of breakthrough the world needs right now. Don't let anyone convince you it's not important. After Dr. Rodriguez hung up, Dr. Hayes stared at me with amazement. How long have you been working on this algae project? 18 months. I started after the Green Solutions internship rejection last summer. I was so frustrated with traditional opportunities that I decided to create my own research path. And you never mentioned it? I shrugged. It felt too personal to discuss. Plus, after so many rejections and disappointments, I wanted to be sure it was actually working before I told anyone. Dr. Hayes shook her head. Sheila, if Dr. Rodriguez is correct about your results, this could be bigger than any scholarship or academic program. As she spoke, my phone buzzed with another message from Amanda. Whatever you're planning, forget it. You're finished in this field. For the first time since discovering my missing passport, I smiled. Amanda had destroyed one path to success while remaining completely oblivious to the route I'd been building in secret. But I had no intention of letting her know about Geneva until it was too late for her to interfere. Dr. Hayes, I need to ask a favor. Can we keep this conversation completely confidential until after the summit? Her eyes gleamed with understanding. Are you planning what I think you're planning? I'm planning to show my family exactly what real innovation looks like. 3 days later, I was reviewing my presentation materials for Geneva when my garage security system activated at 11 o'clock at night. I'd installed motion sensors and cameras months ago to protect my equipment, never imagining I'd need protection from my own sister. Through my phone app, I watched Amanda pick the lock on my garage with surprising skill. She wore dark clothing and moved confidently, suggesting this wasn't her first time breaking into someone else's space. The high-definition cameras captured every detail as she entered my makeshift laboratory. I stayed inside the house, watching her examine my algae cultivation tanks and waste processing equipment. She photographed everything with her phone, probably planning to claim credit for my work just as she had with my academic research. Amanda moved to my computer workstation, unaware that every keystroke was being recorded. She accessed my email account using the password she'd stolen months ago and began reading my correspondence with Dr. Rodriguez and the Geneva Summit organizers. Her face went pale as she realized the scope of the opportunity she'd been unaware of. The footage showed her frantically scrolling through emails about my keynote presentation, the research grant, and the international media attention my work would receive. She found my research notes describing the algae strains I'd developed and the breakthrough efficiency rates I'd achieved. For the first time, she seemed to understand that my playing in the dirt represented genuinely valuable innovation. In her panic, Amanda began destroying equipment. She smashed cultivation tanks, scattered algae samples, and threw research notes into my industrial sink. But her desperation made her careless. She left fingerprints on everything and triggered additional security recordings. When she found my backup files on an external hard drive, she attempted to delete them entirely. But I'd anticipated this possibility and encrypted all my important data with multiple backup systems. Her efforts only created more evidence of her criminal behavior. Most damaging to her position, Amanda's stress caused her to monologue while she worked, creating an audio recording of her entire scheme. "Stupid Sheila thinks she's so smart with her secret projects," she muttered, destroying more equipment. "I'll show her what happens when she tries to upstage me." She found printed emails about the Copenhagen scholarship and laughed bitterly. All this panic over some stupid scholarship when she had something much bigger. Well, not anymore. Amanda attempted to compose fake emails to Green Future International, using my account to withdraw from the Geneva summit just as she'd withdrawn my scholarship application. But my security measures detected the unauthorized access and automatically locked my accounts. Frustrated, she tried calling Dr. Rodriguez's office to impersonate me over the phone, but reached only an answering service. Her recorded voice message, claiming to be me but sounding nothing like my actual speech patterns, provided additional evidence of attempted fraud. In her final act of sabotage, Amanda tried to send emails to environmental organizations claiming I'd stolen research from UC Berkeley and fabricated my algae experiment results. She used the same tactics that had worked against my scholarship application, hoping to poison my reputation before Geneva. But this time, her lies contained technical errors that any environmental scientist would recognize immediately. She claimed I'd plagiarized algae research from papers that didn't exist and cited efficiency numbers that contradicted basic biological principles. Her desperation had made her sloppy, and her lack of scientific knowledge made her fraud obvious to anyone with relevant expertise. As she prepared to leave, Amanda noticed one of my security cameras and realized she'd been recorded. In a final moment of rage, she destroyed the visible camera, not knowing about the hidden backup systems that had captured everything. The next morning, I reviewed 12 hours of footage showing Amanda's complete confession and systematic destruction of my property. Her own words had created an ironclad case for prosecution. But more importantly, her clumsy sabotage emails had backfired spectacularly. Dr. Rodriguez called me personally to express concern about the strange messages they'd received and to reassure me that they recognized obvious fraud when they saw it. "Whoever sent those emails clearly has no understanding of environmental science," Dr. Rodriguez said. "The claims they made about your research were scientifically impossible." Amanda's attempt to destroy my reputation had instead highlighted the authenticity and value of my work, by contrast with her fraudulent accusations. Dr. Hayes arrived at my garage to assess the damage, accompanied by campus security officers who needed to document the break-in for their report. "The destruction is unfortunate," she said, examining my smashed equipment, "but your core research is safe?" I nodded, showing her my encrypted backup systems. "Everything important is protected, and now we have complete documentation of Amanda's criminal behavior." As I prepared for my flight to Geneva, I faced a choice about how to handle my sister's crimes. I could pursue immediate prosecution, exposing her theft and fraud to destroy her career permanently. Or I could focus on my own success and let her face the natural consequences of her actions. Looking at my destroyed laboratory, I realized the decision was easier than I'd expected. Amanda had chosen her path. Now I would choose mine. 3 weeks later, I stood before an audience of 500 environmental leaders in Geneva's World Trade Organization headquarters, about to deliver the most important presentation of my life. The Global Environmental Innovation Summit represented everything I'd dreamed of achieving, and I'd earned my place through genuine innovation rather than stolen credentials. Dr. Rodriguez introduced me to the international audience as a young American researcher whose breakthrough in waste-to-energy conversion could revolutionize how our planet handles organic waste. The introduction was broadcast live to environmental science communities worldwide, with simultaneous translation into 12 languages. My presentation began with a simple premise. What if waste could become humanity's next major energy source? I explained how my algae strains processed organic waste at rates 300% higher than existing technologies, generating clean energy while eliminating environmental contamination. The audience responded with immediate interest as I demonstrated my results through video documentation of my garage laboratory. The contrast between my improvised equipment and my extraordinary outcomes captured their imagination completely. Innovation doesn't require million-dollar facilities, I told them. It requires persistence, creativity, and willingness to explore unconventional approaches to persistent problems. Questions came from representatives of major international organizations. The United Nations Environmental Program wanted to pilot my system in refugee camps facing waste management crises. NASA's representative asked about applications for space exploration missions. European Union officials discussed scaling the technology for urban waste processing. During my presentation, I noticed cameramen from several major news networks filming my remarks. CNN International and BBC Environment were live streaming to global audiences, while National Geographic documented the session for future programming. The most gratifying moment came during the award ceremony that concluded the summit. Dr. Rodriguez announced that I'd received the International Young Environmental Leader Award, recognizing innovations with potential to transform entire industries. The $500,000 research grant accompanying the award would fund establishment of a dedicated laboratory at UC Berkeley, with Dr. Hayes as my faculty sponsor and co-director. But beyond the professional recognition, the personal vindication felt transformative. While Amanda had stolen my academic credentials and my parents had dismissed my environmental work as worthless, the international community was celebrating my innovations with the highest honors available to young researchers. American television networks picked up the story that evening. I watched from my Geneva hotel room as CNN reported on the Berkeley student whose garage experiments could solve global waste management challenges. The segment included footage of my presentation and interviews with environmental policy experts praising my work's potential impact. Most remarkably, they featured my algae laboratory setup, describing how I'd achieved breakthrough results with equipment built from salvaged materials. Back in California, my parents saw their daughter accepting an international award on national television. The daughter they'd dismissed as selfish and unrealistic was being celebrated as a visionary whose work could benefit millions of people. David Morrison watched his daughter explain her innovations to global audiences and realized his profound misjudgment of her character and potential. Linda Morrison heard international experts praising Sheila's dedication and scientific integrity, understanding too late what they'd lost through their favoritism and betrayal. They tried calling me repeatedly, leaving voicemail messages asking for forgiveness and claiming they'd been misled by Amanda. But I was already in Switzerland, establishing partnerships with organizations that valued innovation over family politics. Amanda faced more immediate consequences. The evidence from her break-in led to criminal charges for identity theft, fraud, and destruction of property. The scholarship committee, learning about her theft of my research, revoked her application and reported her actions to relevant professional organizations. Her employer terminated her position after learning about the criminal charges, and her reputation in California's environmental community was permanently damaged. Most painfully for her, the stolen research she'd claimed as her own was now internationally recognized as my breakthrough innovation. Green Future International offered me permanent position opportunities in Switzerland, Norway, and Canada, countries leading global environmental policy development. UC Berkeley created a new research center around my algae innovations, with dedicated laboratory space and graduate student support. The transformation felt surreal. 6 months earlier, I'd been struggling for recognition while my family supported my sister's sabotage. Now I was establishing an international research program while they faced the consequences of their choices. Most importantly, I created the Sheila Morrison Foundation for Independent Environmental Research, providing grants and laboratory access for students from unsupportive family backgrounds. Too many young innovators were discouraged by relatives who couldn't envision unconventional success paths. My parents eventually acknowledged their mistakes through family counseling sessions, recognizing how their favoritism had damaged both daughters. Amanda, facing legal consequences and career destruction, began therapy to address her destructive patterns of jealousy and sabotage. Rebuilding family relationships required time and demonstrated change, but the foundation for healing existed once everyone acknowledged the truth about what had happened. The most profound lesson emerged from realizing that external validation, whether from family or institutions, couldn't determine my worth as a person or researcher. My innovations succeeded because they addressed real problems with creative solutions, not because anyone had given me permission to pursue them. Amanda's betrayal had forced me to develop independence and self-reliance that traditional academic paths might never have provided. Her sabotage had inadvertently pushed me toward my most significant achievements. Standing in my new laboratory 6 months later, surrounded by international collaborators working to scale my algae system globally, I understood that the stolen passport had been irrelevant. The opportunities I'd created through my own initiative were far more valuable than anything my sister could have taken away. My research was now addressing waste management challenges in developing nations, while generating clean energy for communities without reliable power infrastructure. The work provided practical solutions to environmental problems while advancing scientific understanding of biological waste processing. The sister who dismissed my environmental activism as playing in the dirt had inadvertently motivated me to develop innovations that could transform how humanity handles waste across the globe. Sometimes the greatest gifts come from the people who try hardest to hold us back. Looking ahead, my algae research represented just the beginning of a career dedicated to solving environmental challenges through innovative science. The support of international colleagues and the resources provided by my awards had created opportunities for impact far beyond what any single scholarship could have offered. Success had arrived through persistence, creativity, and refusal to accept others' limitations on my potential. The family members who tried to sabotage my dreams had ultimately strengthened my determination to achieve them independently. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced betrayal from someone you trusted most? How did you find the strength to overcome sabotage and pursue your dreams anyway? Share your experiences in the comments below, because your story might inspire someone else facing similar challenges. If this story resonated with you, please like this video to help others find it. Subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming obstacles and achieving success despite difficult circumstances. And share this video with anyone who needs encouragement to pursue their dreams, even when family members don't believe in them. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember that your worth isn't determined by other people's recognition, and your biggest breakthroughs often come from the challenges that seem designed to stop you. Keep innovating, keep believing in yourself, and never let anyone convince you that your dreams are too big for your circumstances.